What's up, cleaning bosses? Welcome to the show. Well, my goal here is to help you become your version of the ultimate cleaning boss, and I want to bring you as much value as possible. So today I got an extremely valuable episode. It's a throwback episode from back when I was on the Housekeepers podcast with Ralph Peterson. He was gracious enough to invite me onto the show, and I thought it'd be a really cool thing to share with you guys, as I think it brings a different perspective about my cleaning business, something that I don't usually get to talk about on my channel in video form. So really glad to have you guys here. Do not forget to subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you're on. It really helps us grow. And leave us a review if you feel so inclined to. I would really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot, and that's the biggest way that we grow. So leave us a review and subscribe to the podcast. If you want to see the show in video form, visit us on YouTube at DJtheBoss and follow us on TikTok and IG at Cleaning Boss Family. We are the realest cleaning business community on the internet. And if you're looking for an app that'll help you manage your cleaning business from anywhere in the world, like having your cleaners clock in and see all of your locations and their statuses, then visit mycleaningboss.app. Remember, keep that boss mentality. Let's start the show.
Look, this for all my boss days. Go do your boss days. Loving how you boss, babe. This for all my dreamers and my doers and all the entrepreneurs. Just believe in what you're doing and pursuing them. This for all my boss, babe. Go do your boss.
Boss fam, really quick, you have got to start automating your sales process. I know you love your cleaning business. This is your baby, but you can't do everything. You're trying to run a business here. So automate your sales process so that you can have more time to close deals and grow your cleaning business. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're the CEO. You're the owner. So you are responsible for growing the business, not doing all those small day-to-day tasks. And if you don't know how to automate your sales process, I have a guide. So go in the link in the description and download the guide. That way you can start automating the sales process and start growing your business and working on your business instead of in it. Love you guys. Keep that boss mentality. Peace.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Housekeepers Podcast. Dare I say, the cleanest hour in podcasting. This has been a whirlwind week for me. I'm sure it's been a whirlwind worldwide. Whirlwind week for you as well. My guest today is all the way from Seattle, Washington, Mr. Derek Grimm, the owner and founder of G-Co Commercial Cleaning. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing really great. I so appreciate you coming on the show. And we were supposed to be on the show last week, and then, my world fell apart, and so I had to reschedule. So thank you so much for being patient.
I appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored that you reached out to me to have me as a guest.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet you because I was doing a little research, when I was first reaching out to you, and just
really
trying to find some people that I think would make good guests. And it looks like you've got quite a great story. You're over there in Seattle. You're still in Seattle, right?
Yes, sir.
And you guys are all focused on green cleaning, which is that not accurate?
So it is accurate. We do have a green cleaning focus, but as you know, nowadays I'm not exactly sure which words are trigger words on this particular show.
The pandemic.
Yeah.
It's funny.
COVID K, we've had this. We've had to obviously make some adjustments and do some pivoting this season. So
1,000,000%. It's a weird thing because green cleaning is a real thing. There's a lot of real natural clean airs out there. There's a lot of really environmentally friendly cleaner, not only cleaners, but also techniques. It's not just about the chemical you're using, but it's about techniques. But the thing that I work in healthcare, and the number one thing you learn when you start cleaning in healthcare is there is no such thing as a green disinfectant.
Yeah, as a green disinfectant, that's very...
It just doesn't exist.
I'm not going to say it. I wasn't going to say it doesn't exist. But if it does exist, I have no idea about it.
Yeah, so. I think the closest thing, and this is the opposite of the closest thing, but the closest thing I can think of is like hydrogen peroxide, which isn't the green.
Not necessarily as green as you'd like it to be.
I know. I'm just saying,
we've also had a history with that particular chemical in the cleaning industry, so yeah, we know how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure you've listened to the show, so I'd love to just start right back at the beginning. Are you from Seattle? Is that where you grew up?
No, actually, I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I was, until I was about 18 years old, and I moved up here to Seattle, Washington, to go to school, and I've kind of just planted my roots here. Been here ever since.
How was growing up in Louisiana?
Louisiana's an amazing place. It's beautiful. It's full of culture. It's
it was a great place to grow up. I loved my upbringing. I loved, being around, jazz music and, parades and festivals. There's always a celebration for something. So it's an amazing place to grow up. I loved it.
I always wonder, I grew up in Vermont most of the time, and I was just back in Vermont because of a family a death, and we were up there. But people go up there for the first time and they're like, it's so amazing and beautiful. I never see a thing. So I always just wonder, like, you're like, hey, is it jazz and culture? I wouldn't have left the one square block I grew up on. I wouldn't have noticed a thing,
Yeah. It can easy to get caught up. It's hard to see, what's around you when you grow up in it. When it's all you get used to it. And so I actually just took a vacation to Hawaii, and we met a bunch of locals there, and they don't seem to even care that they're in paradise. They know nothing else. So I was like, that's nice.
My point exactly. They're like, what sunset? The sunset?
What? Oh, what? Okay.
That's too funny. So what was it like growing up? Like, what did you do in school? Did you do any side jobs at all? Were you?
Yeah. Younger, I would say very entrepreneurial at Spirit, but I didn't have very many examples of how to go about doing, examples of how to go about creating an actual business, especially as a young kid. But I did all the things like selling candy, washing cars, and things like that, just to make money, and usually never for any particular reason other than just to do it. And I wouldn't spend it on anything but candy, but. But it was always kind of my interest to be in sales or, creating some type of entity that creates money for whatever reason before I knew what business was.
Yeah. How old were you? How old were you when you first started like this little side hustle when you were trying to get cash?
I mean, 8 or 9 years old, I would go wash my family's car to go, just for a couple of bucks, so I can maybe get $5 or $10 worth of candy from the corner store. But very early on. I mean, I probably was paying my own cell phone bill since I was about 12 years old. So,
that's so fun. I didn't have a cell phone when I was 12.
Well, yeah, I don't think you had the option, to be honest.
No, I didn't. I didn't get a cell phone, I think, till I was like 34, 35 years old. So I might be a little older, just a little bit.
Just a tad bit.
Just a little bit.
You look great, though. You look great.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I run every day. That's the secret.
That's the secret?
That's the secret.
I'm going to go run right after this.
I got to tell you to be careful because I ran in Seattle. I ran the Seattle Marathon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I ran it in 2019 in December. Or it's the week between Christmas and New Year. And it's kind of like the last marathon of the year. Like it's almost like the last day before the new year. And so it's like touted as for those of us who are crazy enough to, I belong to a group called Marathon Maniacs, which kind of implies by its name that you have to be a little crazy to join the marathon.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit crazy.
Yeah, and so you'd find, generally just a bunch of maniacs out there trying to get their last marathon in for the year, So.
Yeah. I was very, very athletic. I played sports all through school and all through high school.
What you doing? What sport? What's your sport?
My main sport was basketball, but I also did football and track. Did baseball when I was much younger, but I've always been involved in at least 2 or 3 sports a year, since I was a kid. So
nice.
Played heavily into me coming up here and deciding which school I wanted to go to, and trying to pick which sports team I could maybe have a future with, and I ended up getting hurt and kind of finding my way around closer towards this industry and the actual real working world, where I started to get into sales and trying to use a little bit of what I went to school for. And I've kind of found my way towards the cleaning industry. I know that's kind of skipping a bunch, but
just kind of skipped over a decade, I think. No, it's okay.
Yeah, probably a decade and a half or so.
What's fun is that team sports are so important to the entrepreneur, right? When you get into business, if you haven't, so it's always really interesting to me how people found their way. Just forget to the cleaning industry, just found your way into entrepreneurship, into the way of starting your own business and starting your own thing. It's so fascinating to me. I know you said like there weren't very many influences as a kid who maybe showed you how to run a business or start one,
Yeah, like the idea of starting a business or owning my own company, like that didn't come until way later in my life. And I just never even thought it was an option for me. I assumed that it would take, millions of dollars or, thousands of dollars at least to get started. And, I thought I needed so much. And so I just never even, I never would even attempted anything serious until much later in my life.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have an older brother and 2 younger sisters.
Oh, so you're kind of in the middle. Oh, you're
right,
middle.
Right in the middle. Yeah, right in the
no.
middle.
What about your parents? What did your parents do when you were growing up?
My dad is a drafter designer. He worked for Boeing for probably the last 20 or 30 years. He's worked for, basically doing the same in that same trade for all my life, as far as I know. My mom was a project coordinator for it used to be Capital Post Conviction Project. Now she's on to doing her own entrepreneurial endeavors herself nowadays. But she was a project coordinator for the majority of my life.
That's awesome. So that kind of lends to it too, though, right? Because your parents were, if nothing else, just paving the way of, put your head down and go to work and get it done.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely where I get it from. That no excuses. You got to do what you got to do. Get your work done and take care of things. So that's definitely the upbringing that I had. So.
You didn't collect like baseball cards or anything as a kid?
I didn't do baseball cards. I did get heavily into Pokemon cards. That was more my generation. Which kind of has begun to resurface now. But yeah, I've kind of always paid attention to trends and popular things that are just in culture or pop culture. Definitely always interest me in things that people collected and things that increased in value. So I was always into watches and stuff like that.
Nice.
So yeah,
I think that's where I first started. Just understanding the buy sell trade.
Mm-hmm.
It was with baseball cards, football cards, basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, basketball cards.
Yeah, we were kids. That's all. I mean, it was better than money.
Yeah, exactly. You'd rather have the card. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Mm-hmm.
Super funny. So why Washington to go to school? What were you going to school for?
Well, I was going to school. I initially went to school for electrical engineering. My father worked for Boeing, which is based here in Seattle, Washington. So it was kind of the perfect opportunity for me to swap from mother to father, being around father, and having an opportunity to go to Western Washington University, is where I went to school up here for electrical engineering. I believed I'd wanted to be an engineer my entire life. I mentioned I have an older brother who's about 7 years older than me. He is an engineer, an incredible engineer, civil engineer. He graduated college with 2 degrees at the same time. He got a physics degree and an engineering degree at the same time. Now works for the power company down south. But incredible engineer. And he's 7 years older than me, so I wanted to be just like him when I grew up. So anything he said he was going to do, I wanted to do. He was a basketball player. I wanted to play basketball. He was an engineer. I followed him all the way up until college and wanted to be an engineer. So, but yeah, so I went to school for electrical engineering.
And then you get into it and you're like, what is this?
Yeah, it got really hard. Yeah, that stuff's pretty intense. So, I mean, I did learn a thing or two. And even though I didn't finish school, I did do some work as an electrical engineer for an amusement company. But I just didn't sit well in the field. Yeah, it really wasn't what I was supposed to be doing.
You didn't finish college?
I did not finish college. No, I did not.
Brother, your story is even better. It's even better.
I'm a
better than I
two-time
thought.
college dropout, and I actually started my cleaning company while I was homeless. So, yeah.
Wait a minute. How do you start a cleaning company when you're homeless? How does that even work?
Yeah, exactly.
I specialize in coaching and consulting for new and aspiring commercial cleaning business owners just like you. My goal is to equip you with the tools and the knowledge you need to thrive in this competitive industry. I come up with a custom plan for you and your business. Best practices, marketing strategies, and industry secrets, and anything else you need to get ahead. You're also going to save a lot of money by avoiding costly mistakes by learning from someone who's experienced and who's done exactly what you're trying to do. Book a one-on-one session with me, and we can help get your business to the next level.
Grit and work. At the time, I'd lost a job. The last job that I had was for a small weapons manufacturer. I'd gotten sick, and I'd spent some time in the hospital, but I'd never communicated with that employer that I was kind of dying in the hospital, and so they didn't hear from me for a month.
It sounds like a no-call, no-show.
Exactly. It was a no-call, no-show. So, but yeah, I lost that job and I fell on hard times, really hard times. And I kind of just struggling with what to do and researching. And that's where the idea of entrepreneurship or some way to just make money just to make ends meet, it's an emergency now. Now I need to figure it out. And so someone was kind enough to allow me to use their mudroom. I didn't even know what a mudroom was until this person allowed me to use their mudroom for me to kind of lay my head at night. And it gave me a place to kind of, watch YouTube and, do research and try to figure out what it is that I could do to kind of take care of myself. And one of the main things that I found was just a phrase that someone said, you had to be of service to someone else, in order to be rewarded. And so that's all any business is there's just in service to someone else and providing something to someone else that they want. So you kind of have to think less about yourself and think about someone else, and it kind of just works out for you. And so that was the approach that I took, the mental approach that I took. And the only thing that I could think that I could do with no budget was clean for someone. And so I figured if I do a good job, then I'd be able to do it for a while.
Did you just to back up real quick, what jobs did you have going into this? You said you worked for a little bit for electrical engineering, a little bit.
Immediately out of college, I worked for AT&T and Verizon as a sales rep. And
did you work at all as a teenager? Like, did you work at McDonald's?
Oh, yeah. As a teenager, I worked as a fry cook. I was a line cook for an Italian restaurant on Esplanade in Louisiana. Okay. I worked for another restaurant called Nacho Mama's, where I kind of made salads and wrapped burritos and stuff like that. I've been working since I can remember. I've always had a job. Good. Even into college, I was part of the Res Tech team that we helped everyone get their internet connection set up and fix computers and stuff like that on campus.
So you're now sleeping in a mud room and watching YouTube on your phone. See, that's the other thing I didn't have when I was a kid. I didn't have YouTube.
Yeah, you had if you wanted to do research, you had to go find an encyclopedia or go to the library.
I remember this is how bad it was. I remember the first company I started was called Collectibles for Kids, and I was selling baseball and football cards at trade shows, and I got robbed. Like a guy, this one kid came up and was distracting me on one side of the table. Another kid came up and took, half my, my cards, and 2 tables over while I'm freaking out. This other guy's like, oh, I'm so, we've seen that happen before. Sorry, we should have told you. See, that's what YouTube is for, right? You can
you can actually learn that lesson before it happens. You at least know where to keep your head on the swivel.
Yeah. You got to definitely keep your head on the swivel. So YouTube, that's super great.
Yeah, so, thankfully, because of the time that I was born in, I have that at my disposal to be able to research things and look things up, watch other people and watch other experiences and learn from them. So
what was the first? I love the idea, by the way, that you said, "Hey, I can do this for no money," and I think that's so accurate. You can step into a housekeeping or a cleaning position, starting your own business, just relying on, well, don't you have your own cleaning chemicals already? Yes. Don't you have your own rag? Yes. Most people own their own vacuum. Good to go. I'll run all of it for you.
Yeah. Right? And I actually, for the very first job that I got, I borrowed the vacuum that was at the house that I was staying in. So
that's even better. Even better. So what was the first contract you had? Or what did you first start cleaning?
Oh, I remember my very first job. I just made a Google, my very first Google listing or what have you. And probably the third day that it was up, I got a call from someone at a retailer in the mall near here, the Alderwood Mall. So a wet seal, I believe, maybe 7 years ago in the Alderwood Mall. And they were kind of just doing some construction or remodeling, and they wanted someone to come in and clean up.
Just do construction cleanup.
Yeah, just a construction. That's kind of it's exactly where I kind of fell into it. So, I went there. I did a good job, and I guess the contractor had made some type of mistake, and so they needed me to come back out, and so I kind of got paid twice for doing the same things. And I quickly got to see that, hey, there's some money in this. I should start asking some more businesses if I can clean for them, and so. then I kind of started to look and do more research towards commercial cleaning and how to actually make a business. And I wanted to make sure that I was okay legally. And so I looked up how to get licensed and insured and bonded and things like that. So those were the next things that I did.
So
With
then
that very first job's money was what I think they required that I have $1 million in insurance. And of course that baffled me when someone says $1 million in insurance, but back then I think it was like $50 because I was only person working. And so I was like, I thought it was the end of the world. And so I ended up reaching out to an insurance company. I'm like, oh yeah, it'd be like $50 a month. I was like, oh, okay, well, great. Let's
I got $50.
Yeah, let's get 2 million then. That's
money for everybody.
Yeah, money for everybody. But yeah, no. So that was kind of how I started. I went and got my license and got insured and bonded, and I was kind of off to the races.
Were you able to, a lot of times people are able to turn that, that one and done job into multiple jobs. Were you able to get more work from that contractor or from that store?
Actually, we do still have a relationship. The work it's sporadic. It's not consistent, but they're based in Houston, Texas, actually, and so every now and then they do reach out to us for jobs that they have out here. So it's nice to have relationships like that. But yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah,
very cool. And how did you then? So you have a few jobs. You finally got some legitimacy under your belt. How do you go start getting more accounts? Are you knocking on doors? Are you cold calling? What are you doing?
I did a little bit of everything when it was just me and who's my operation manager now, Maddie. We did a little bit of everything. We made flyers. We did handwritten flyers. We did the door hangers. We knocked on doors. We cold called. Oh my God, did we cold call?
I still cold call.
Yeah, but there's really no way to get out of it, especially nowadays when you can't
knock on doors.
It's
the best. It's the number one way I make money is through cold calls.
Really?
Yeah, I know nobody likes to swallow that pill. But
it doesn't surprise me, but time and time again, it's the story that I hear is that's how you build. Yeah, I absolutely hate it, but I wouldn't have been able to get started had I not went through it. I mean, it's. When you think about it, when you're starting out, and it's those things that are free that just are work, that elbow grease, things that you have to actually just do and get through. Those are the hard things to do, and those are the things that make you the most successful. So, I'm not surprised that cold calling would be your success factor.
To this day. And I remember when I first got into sales, I was like, because cold calling is the hardest, it's the most terrible. And I would make I would listen to everybody else like, that doesn't work. You shouldn't be wasting your time with that. Everybody comes up with reasons on why you shouldn't cold call. And what I realized is that nobody was cold calling. And I just thought, if you just sucked it up and started cold calling.
You'd be the only one. Yeah.
I'd be the only one.
You'd be the only one. Your competition's pretty low. Yeah.
I remember I did a poll on LinkedIn and I said, do you cold call in the morning, in the afternoon, or you not cold call at all? And the only reason I was asking that question was to find out when I should be cold calling. Because if everybody's going to be I cold call in the morning, I'm cold calling in the afternoon. Then I do afternoon, I'm going to do the morning. Resoundingly, everybody said, I don't cold call. I'm like, all right, well, then it doesn't matter what time I do because I'm the only one doing it.
Yeah, I fought against it for a long time because it would give me almost an anxiety. I would make a list, I'd write a script and I'd practice it. And then I go to grab the phone and I get cold sweats. It would be horrible. Yeah, I hated it. But yeah, those things that you grit through and that you work through, it would actually end up being the most success, the things that bring you the most success. So
I hate it every day I start. But then once I get started, it's super easy.
Yeah,
I get super relaxed about it.
Yeah, that's how it is for everyone. Once you're in it, you're in it.
Once you're in it, you're like, I'm just making calls. At the end of the day, I'm just. It almost sounds like I'm not selling anything. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Good for you.
Just having the conversation. Just the next person. Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, and luckily, I learned that I was able to get into cold calling a little bit easy just because I had done sales for AT&T and Verizon before, which. I started as just, your regular, the guy who would bug you in the mall to try to buy a cell phone back when it was new or whatever the new phone was. Or then I kind of became the guy you come to in the store. And then I think we're based off, we're commission sales. So we were based off how many phones we could sell in a month. And this is before businesses even started to have, cell phones or any type of technology out, that, pertaining to cell phones or the internet within their company. So I was kind of among that first group of salesmen who would reach out to these trucking companies to sell them those Nextel or walkie-talkie type situations. And I would bring those sales back to my office, my little small sales department for AT&T. And, when we would struggle to make sales for 15 phones as a team from behind the desk, I would bring in a 30 phone deal, and and they'd be like, "What the heck are you doing?" And so I got to sharpen my B2B sales skills in those arenas at those phone companies. So when I had the idea to clean, I never thought of cleaning houses. I always thought of cleaning buildings. So that's kind of why I went either the post-construction or commercial or Class A buildings and stuff like that.
That's very interesting too. I was going to ask, why commercial over residential?
Yeah, the idea of residential never seemed appealing to me. I felt like people would be really picky, and there's never really a way to kind of have a consistent outcome, or like outcome from the customer's perspective. Everyone's so different, I feel like in commercial there's a standard to meet, and you can go above that standard, and everything's measurable a little bit more. Not to mention the revenue is more consistent, and so it just made more sense to me from the beginning. The budgets are a little bit larger, not a little bit, well, a lot larger, in commercial, and so that's the lane that I decided to. It made the most sense, so I've stuck there.
Another thing that I learned, along the way, I think I've done everything. I've done commercial cleaning, residential cleaning, school cleaning, church cleaning, airport cleaning, stadium cleaning.
I've tried it all. Yeah, I've absolutely tried it all. Yeah,
done it all. One of the things that is really important to know is the bigger the account, the easier it is to run. Hell, it's the easier it is to clean.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you're using 8 people a day and 2 people call out, you can still get it done.
You can still get it done. Yeah.
If you're using 2 people a day and 1 person calls out, forget it.
Yeah, now it becomes a stretch. Yeah.
Yeah, you just lost half your staff.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big staffing problem.
That's why I think commercial cleaning to me makes the most sense as well, because it's so much easier to manage. I mean, if I have a call out and I'm a residential cleaner, the residences aren't getting cleaned.
Yeah, the residents aren't getting cleaned. Yeah, there's no way around it.
No, there's no way around it.
I've always preferred the consistency of commercial, the ability to be flexible with staff and having more staff in one spot. You just have more people that are kind of trying to make something work. I feel like the more heads you have, the better. So commercials always work better for me.
I agree. And it looks like you do nearly everything, right? You do gyms, you do all Class A offices. Do you do any schools or anything like that?
We don't do any schools currently. We did have a school under contract for a couple of years ago. It's just not something that we went back into. But yeah, we've done a little bit of everything. But right now we have gyms, we have aerospace facilities. But we're right next. Literally, my office is actually across the street from the Boeing field. So I'm surprised that throughout this video there hasn't been a 747 or a Dreamliner cross and shake the building. But yeah, we do a couple of aerospace facilities.
You're
Class
in a
A
perfect
buildings,
location then.
Warehouses, right? Exactly. We're in the perfect location for commercial. So
I live by an industrial park myself.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I work in healthcare, so I clean nursing homes, hospitals.
Yeah.
Assisted living. So
and I've definitely steered clear of I've been intimidated by it, but I've kind of been listening to you lately, and it's kind of got me wanting to dabble in there a little bit.
Oh, well, if you're interested in healthcare, we can talk. I can tell you all about it. But my point is that with healthcare, all healthcare facilities are spread out. It's not like a hospital is next to a hospital is next to another hospital. Hospitals are 30, 40 miles apart from each other.
Yeah.
So in order to get, that's not the same with like nursing homes. You can probably get, depending on your town you live in. I mean, Seattle's a good example. It's probably, good Lord, 40 or 50 nursing homes inside of a 10, 15-mile radius in Seattle. So Seattle's a good location. But there are a lot of locations where it's so rural that healthcare facilities are just so far apart from each other. But I was going by this industrial park and I just thought to myself, boy, if you just opened up a small little closet / office for a cleaning company, you could own this entire
area.
Nobody's working after 5, 6 o'clock at night. It'd be the perfect ideal time to go and clean every one of these industrial, the factories over here. They all have office space. They all have floors. They all need floor care. You know what I mean? They all need their trash removed.
Yep. And that's our specialty. That's literally exactly what we do. We sit in an industrial park that was a client before we came here. And we are now in every other, we're surrounded by industrial parks sitting across the street from Boeing. And so now they're all clients and, we're kind of just branched out from here. So.
Smart man. That's how I see it too.
Yeah. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. And that's not to say that I don't think residential works at all. There's residential companies right next door that, they're in the, $20-30 million a year. So
of course
some people can figure it out. It just wasn't my lane. So
yeah, no question. I agree with you. I mean, healthcare is not for everybody. Class A office buildings isn't for everybody. Health clinics isn't for everybody. You got to find, what works for you either.
Yeah. And I initially avoided the healthcare industry just because I initially feared my lack of knowledge at the time when I was, first getting into cleaning. I didn't know a lot about, contact times or, microns per square inch or, or whatever, all the other things that we've now that everyone's kind of familiar with now since the pandemic. And so now that we've all been kind of knee deep in all of the ins and outs of cleaning and chemicals and stuff like that, now there's no reason to be avoiding it. So now I've kind of been like, hey, maybe I might go and knock on a couple of these nursing home doors.
I got to tell you, now is the time. It's one of those industries healthcare is one of those industries that hasn't been very big on outsourcing. Most healthcare facilities don't outsource. They don't outsource their cleaning to anybody.
Yeah, they used to have their own janitorial staff.
Yeah. And the challenge with that now is, as you kind of alluded to, is number one, the spotlight's been placed pretty heavily on healthcare, and the need for professionalism and knowledge is just increased by 100%. I got to tell you, in 2019, a short, nearly 2 years ago, if I would have brought up contact time, I would have been looked at like I was wasting people's time. Nobody cared, right?
Yeah.
Now,
you're preaching to the choir.
Now everybody is super interested.
Preaching to the choir. I couldn't get a potential client to listen to me from more than 5 seconds as I start to go into a spiel about cleaning for health. They're like, well, can you make it shiny? That's all we need. You just make it shiny. And I'm like, all right, whatever. You don't want, because that's always been our slogan, was cleaning for health. Like 4 years before COVID, we were cleaning for health, and we were trying to sell people on the idea. We use HEPA filtration and we disinfect and microfiber and blah blah blah. And nobody cared. Nobody cares. Now they're quizzing me on what I know. They're like, well, do you know this? And what chemicals are you using? You're not mixing this with that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to watch the industry kind of flip upside down like that. It's been fun, and I'm happy to say that I was here before and after. So it's
been the best thing and the worst thing for our industry at the same time. I had somebody recently question the water temperature of my mop bucket.
Of your mop bucket?
Yeah, they wanted to know how hot the water was in the mop bucket. And I said, it's not hot. It's cold.
They wanted to know how hot it was?
Yeah, they wanted to know if we wanted to make sure that we were cleaning the floors with hot water. And I explained to her that we don't clean the floors with hot water. We actually clean the floors with cold water because it's VTC.
How you would clean the floor with hot water?
Well, that's the rabbit hole.
Anyway.
That's the rabbit hole I decided to jump down with her, because she's like, I don't think you're right. I think it has to be hot water. And I said, well, what temperature hot water? Because I've never seen a mop bucket with a plug. Am I supposed to plug the mop bucket?
That's you got
You see
fancy
a
technology.
heater in the bottom of it?
I thought I leaned heavily into technology. If you got heated mop buckets over there, then you were doing stuff I have. I'm not at. It's a different level there.
It's a whole new. It's so bizarre. You know, like I said, that's why I mean it's like the good and the bad.
But it's
right?
good,
Like,
yeah. But yeah, I think net it's a good thing that now more people are educated, and now it's made selling easier for us. You know, so which we needed to during the pandemic. So
agreed.
But yeah, it's been great. It's been great for the industry.
And staffing at this point is, I mean, literally, if you have staff, you are ahead of the game.
You are, yeah. It's staffing is horrible right now. It's horrendous, and yeah, it's been a struggle for us. It's been a huge struggle for us. So we're lucky to have the people on staff that we have. I'm glad that the culture within the company are just not the type of people who want to stay at home, you know, or want to or kind of just sit around and do nothing. We have the type of culture that's full of people who want to work and want to get after it and want to make a difference. So I'm blessed in that manner, and I'm thankful for it. But yeah, it's definitely not the same.
Recruiting is a bear. I think, I've been working in cleaning for more than 20 years, and I've always been short staffed. So
I mean, we've always, there's always that, before this, it was a turnover if it wasn't, if we weren't getting applicants. So there's always staffing issues. There's always some staffing issues to solve. So
yeah, so it's nothing really new to us in this
not
industry.
At all.
There's always been a high turnover.
It's always a challenge. It's always a challenge.
And I would say with some understanding, not everybody wants to be a cleaner, right? Which is totally fine. I'm under the, hey, if you need something for now, come to work for me, right? I'm great for now,
Yeah, exactly. And we usually stick to people who have full-time jobs or other part-time jobs. And those tend to be the people with that fit the culture that just want to make extra. We found that when we try to target or go after people that have no work whatsoever or nothing going on at all, we get a lot of the no shows, or they're not even show up for the interview, or come to the interview and then never show up, or we never hear from them again.
Do you have any thoughts as to why that is?
I mean, I guess if you're already working, then you may be inclined to maybe you have some goals and you're just trying to figure out how to reach them. And people who aren't working yet are just trying to figure it out from the start. I'm not exactly sure. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. But it just seems to be that way.
Yeah, I don't know either, to be honest, but I do have a theory. I've been thinking about it a lot because so our challenge in healthcare is we don't clean at night. We clean during the day. And so it's a full 37 and a half hour or 40 hour a week job. It is a full-time 7 to 3:30 in the afternoon job. That's cleaning in healthcare, in nursing homes anywhere, and in senior care. In hospitals, there's a lot of night care, but a lot of night cleaning, but not in nursing homes, not in senior care. And so we're having this big challenge with getting people to show up for work, show up for interviews. And I just started to realize that, what I think what the number one problem is, they don't need to work, because otherwise if they needed to work, they would be. So I think people just simply, and I don't know how or why, or what their rent situation is, but I don't think people just need to work. I don't know why that is, but it doesn't make any sense to me otherwise. Because if you didn't have money and you didn't want to work, you're in real trouble.
Yeah.
But if you have a little bit of money and you don't want to work, maybe you're okay.
Yeah, maybe you're all right. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little bit's enough. I don't know. It's a struggle.
I think that may be the unlock of this whole era, is that people realize that they never did need a whole lot of money to be happy, and they just really would rather have more, what they call work-life balance, I guess, or no work-life balance.
A work-life askew.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit of work, a lot of life, which is not a bad model.
I'm empathetic to it. Yeah, I'm
not a bad model. I just wonder if we've maybe hit a utopia, that the utopia of, imagine, as a kid, I remember like my grandparents retiring. I remember my grandparents retiring, and they were finally going to be able to do whatever they wanted, right? They were finally going to have free days, and it's not just going to be a Saturday and Sunday where they're having to go paint half the house or fix the car or mow the lawn. They were actually going to have time. And I wonder if that's it. I wonder if because the wages are going up so much and maybe the expenses are staying super low, that people are finding that utopia where they can live off of 2 days a week, 3 days a week. I don't know. I can't. I'm working 80. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, I work 80. I work 70, 80 hours a week. So I don't know.
I don't either.
Maybe it could be the results of a good economy. I mean, the economy was great for so long. That it's kind of could be the results of having that type of stimulation. So
the reason I even bring it up and try to figure it out really is because I think it's up to you and I. I think it's up to the business owner. I think it's up to us to figure out how to, because let me say it like this. If the truth is that nobody wants a full-time job anymore, that everybody just can work full-time, part-time, and they can live off of part-time, and everybody's only interested in part-time, then I've got to adjust my business.
Yeah.
To start only hiring part-time workers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
you're already in that business.
Yeah, a lot of our staff are already part-time. We're mostly part-time, and it just because it works out that way. So, I think it's easier to move someone who's already moving than to get someone from a dead stop. So,
no question. I had a friend, John, who said, "I never win the battle from the couch." So if somebody's not working,
that's a good one. Yeah, from the couch. Yeah, from the couch is not a good.
They're probably going to stay not working, right?
Yeah.
That's a fair.
I wholeheartedly agree. Wholeheartedly agree.
Got to figure it out, though. We got to figure it out. We
really don't have a choice. I mean, we've always had staffing issues, so we have to figure it out. I mean, whether it's we have to figure out what the appeal is to people and what they want out of employment now in this new normal that we live in, and as employers, I guess you're right. It is up to us to kind of provide that for them, and that's. We've always kind of led with that employees first kind of mentality with, what's going to be, what's going to make this as not necessarily enjoyable, but, what's going to be the most beneficial for both parties and keep the employee happy.
What's the, just off the top of your head, like what's the average age of your workforce right now?
Cool. It's all over the place.
I know, but what's your average? Is it in early 20s, early 30s, older?
So we usually don't have anyone in the 27 to maybe 35 or 36 range. We usually don't get that young. It's usually young, maybe right out of high school or college, 18 to 24, and then we'll have 45 to 60 60 years old.
Okay, so same with me.
Really?
Same with me. Yeah, that's pretty much the same.
Yeah, for some reason we haven't been able to infiltrate that middle age group for employees yet. So
yeah, and the younger 18 to 24 are just passing by.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get somebody 40, 45, they're usually the best, which is super interesting because maybe you know this, but there's a law in the books called it's age discrimination. So there's an age discrimination law that you're not allowed to discriminate against people because of their age, and it doesn't come into effect until people turn 40. And the reason it's so funny when you think about it, because it's the last class of people that we would discriminate against is 40-year-olds.
Right, yeah, those are the ones that we want.
Bring me all your 40-year-olds.
Bring them all to
hiring 40-year-olds, 40 plus. But when the law came out in like the late 70s, it was business practice was to fire 40-year-olds and hire 22-year-olds. So they would take their new college kids and fire all the 40, 45-year-olds. And so they literally made a law.
That's interesting. Wow.
I know.
I did not know that.
I know, and you can't discriminate against people over 40, and it's so it's talk about a change of time.
Yeah. Oh, that is
Super
crazy.
funny.
I did not know that.
Very interesting
That's hilarious
stuff over here.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so what's next for you guys? You guys are doing. Looks like you guys are doing really well. Looks like you have a lot of accounts. You're really busy.
Yeah, we are really busy. It's just we're kind of being really picky with clients that we take on because of the staffing issues. Now we used to be able to kind of take whatever job kind of comes our way, anything comes up, new clients. But now even 2-3 year contracts we have to turn down just because of the style of it, and we don't want to run into any staffing issues during this era. We don't know what to expect, so we've been really picky with saying yes to only certain types of jobs, so we can make sure we have enough lead time to make sure it's properly staffed, and everyone's properly trained. It's harder to take those medium sized jobs now, or smaller jobs where you would have those 1 or 2 cleaners and things like that. So it's been difficult. We're just kind of taking it day by day as anyone else can, and and seeing how the industry comes back and how the world comes back.
So is recruiting then your number one focus right now then? I mean,
nope. Sales is always our number one focus. Sales is always our number one focus.
Yeah, you're just no longer taking those smaller accounts.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, we're no longer accepting the smaller or medium sized.
I think that's pretty common. Common, where you just get to a certain size and you start understanding how much easier it is to run bigger accounts.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
It makes complete sense. I see some of your floor care though. You guys have posted a few pictures of the floor. I'm a big fan of floors, by the way.
Floors are the most important spaces in these facilities, man. Yeah, they're the most important.
It's more important than a clean toilet. And when I say that, people lose their mind on me. But I'm telling you, how many people see that toilet? 2, 3, 5, 10? How many people see that lobby floor? Everybody,
every single body. Yeah, very true. But I will say that the toilet will probably cost you more customers than your floors.
You know what's interesting is, and again, I work in healthcare, and healthcare is a really unique situation where you have both the customer and the employee spending an equal amount of time at this place. And what's really interesting is how the clean, dirty aspect of your workspace affects the employee.
Oh, yeah.
And so at some point, the customer is super important, of course, but your customer's in and out, seeing it once, twice, maybe once a week, whatever. The employee's seeing it every single day. And if it's a less than desirable place, it kills morale. It kills morale. Yeah, it kills it.
It's really difficult, to work when your aesthetic is kind of down. It affects your emotions. We're all like empathetic creatures in that sense. Your surroundings are going to affect your mood, and your mood's going to affect your performance or your efforts, and it all plays into it. And we sell that, so I'm definitely a huge believer.
You got to focus on that. That's super smart. Being in my position, I'm blessed with having the opportunity to see an awful lot of service entrances, right? A lot of people want to take me around and show me stuff, and I'm always very grateful. I love it. But I walk into a service entrance and see like it's all, the employee break room is just a piece of junk. I'm like, you guys are doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
It's not okay. It's not okay.
It's got to be better. It's got to be as good, if not better, than the customer experience, because your customer's in and out.
Yeah, exactly.
Your employees are there every day.
Take
care of your employees.
Yeah, exactly. Of course. Yeah, people will send their employees and have them sitting in filth and wonder why no one actually wants to come to work. It's because it's disgusting.
Yeah, listen, here's the thing. Just a little tip for those who are not sure if they're on the spectrum here of whether or not they're treating their employees well or not. I'm going to give you a little acid test here. Here it is. If the furniture, when you get new furniture and you give the old furniture to your staff, That right? You go to the employee
terrible.
break room and not a chair matches, right?
Yeah, not a
Tables
chair.
are half broken. There's pieces of paper underneath the table leg to even it out.
Yeah.
That's you putting the employees after.
Yeah. Yeah. What we tell our clients is that we want to get you on the other side of your employees' foot flushing in your facility. You don't want boot marks on your toilets. They shouldn't have to feel like they need to flush with their feet. Yeah.
That's interesting. I do not flush with my feet, but
you'd be surprised how many people do.
I know. I do lift the toilet seat with my feet.
With your foot, yeah. Yep. There you go.
I do indeed. And I have a friend, Ray, who he was maybe the first person I ever see just kind of like legit flush anything with his foot. And I mean urinal. Like, how are you getting your leg up to your head to press that lever? Like,
that's a lot. He must be a flexible guy.
It's a flexible guy. I'm like,
Karate
you're going to
expert.
wash your hands anyway, aren't you? I mean, are you avoiding washing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. They're trying to avoid washing their hands.
Just doesn't want. No, he always washes his hands, but he always uses his feet. I'm like,
some people don't even want to go near it. Yeah.
Overkill.
Yeah.
Good old Seattle.
Yeah, I love it here. I love it. It's beautiful. It's definitely a contrast from where I grew up. Going from completely flat, hot and humid all the time to pretty brisk, snow-capped mountains year round. It's beautiful scenery. Sunsets here are gorgeous on the West Coast. People here are lovely. It's great. I love being out here.
You know what you have there too, other than a lot of hills. Like I mentioned, I ran a marathon in Seattle. Good
yeah.
Lord.
So we got quite a few hills.
Straight down.
Yep.
There is a oh gosh, what is that called? The pier right there. You have a pier. It's super famous. You have a fishing pier.
Ferris wheel on it, or a fishing pier?
Yeah, you have a fishing pier where there's a fish store that is super famous, and I can't think off the top
Pikes
of my
Place?
head. Pikes? Is it Pikes?
Yeah, Pikes. Yeah.
Here's the thing about Pikes, and this is going back a few years ago because it was I read a study on Pikes, but so I don't know what it's like today, but at the time they had something that nobody had. They had a ton of people wanting to work for them. Like there was a waiting list of people to go to work for this Pikes Pier, the fishing, where you pick up the fish. Yeah. And the way that I heard the story was what makes that so significant, other than, of course, anybody wanting to work some places, says a lot about the place. When I was a kid, I grew up in Vermont, and Ben & Jerry's had just opened up. And everybody wanted to go to work for Ben & Jerry's, like everybody. And it was like rumors, like you got free ice cream, you got massages, like all this stuff. Like I have no idea. I never worked there. It was
this rumor that it was an amazing place.
Right. So, okay. So Pikes Pier has like this waiting list of people who want to work there. And the story I heard is to understand how terrible the job is. It starts at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. You're unloading fish off of a boat. By the way, the fish are packed in ice, so it's freezing cold. It's backbreaking because they're heavy boxes.
Yeah, it's not a fun job.
It's not it's the
not
opposite.
An enjoyable job, but they still have a line of applicants of people waiting and waiting.
Exactly. Good. And the question is, why? Do you know why? Everybody wants to work there?
I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't work there.
It's because the culture is fun. Because when somebody orders a fish, you don't just grab it. Yeah. You throw the fish. And so they're always showing these pictures of fish being chucked over the aisles, and they're catching it in newspaper, and it's fun and it's exciting. Mm-hmm. And you're making people smile and laugh. And I bring that up only to say, if they can make fishmongering, if that's a thing,
whatever it's called,
if they can make that fun,
one of the most sought after jobs,
right? We should certainly be able to make cleaning fun.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges we have in the cleaning industry, other than our reputation is terrible, because nobody wants to be a cleaner.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that especially in healthcare is everybody works solo. So we don't work in teams at all. We sell, you're going on that way, you're going on that floor, you're going on that floor, you're going to take the lobby, you're going to take the you know what I mean? So everybody's solo. Yeah. And so they don't, and then in healthcare, we don't allow you to wear headsets. And so we can't, you can't even bebop around.
Yeesh, yes. That seems strict, yeah.
So it's terrible. It's terribly more difficult to build that fun community, can't wait to get to work to hang out with my friend kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, when everyone's kind of off doing their own thing. Yeah, that's the job. Yeah. But still, I mean that there's still something to be said for that culture that, this still had them. They've obviously figured out a way for that, and they're the vibe of that entire market. Everything else is the way it is. Kind of that energy builds from right there. You can tell, and so if you can recreate that in your company, no matter in some fashion, then you should be able to have some success.
On a side note to that, that's my dad would have never tolerated right in the beginning had we thrown fish in the house. He'd be like, "Cut it out," and that would have been the end of it.
Right, the end of fish throwing. Yeah, there'd been no business. There'd been no fun had.
There'd been no books, no videos made.
Nothing.
My dad would have put an end to that fish.
One fish thrown, and that was the end of that.
Whoever embraced it, somebody had to embrace it.
Yeah, somebody just embraced it. Because that's usually what it takes is it's not one crazy person. It's that second person. It's that second crazy person that usually creates the whole movement. It helps create that whole movement. Somebody does something weird, and it's the second person that's like, "Oh yeah, do that," and then now everybody's on it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I want to meet that guy. Like who is it that saw his fish flying around and went, "It's not terrible.
Yeah, I like it. Do it again.
Let's do it again. Let's get another customer in here so we can throw some fish around."
Yep. Yeah, it was great. I love it. But I love being out here. I love cleaning the spaces out here. There's a lot of incredible companies that I really would like to get into but yeah, I love being around business now. After being in business for the past 7 years, I've come to just love business in itself. Cleaning is obviously my where I got my start, but now we've moved on into media. I've started a media company.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I actually started 9 Media Creative. It's a creative studio that now sits behind GCO in this space that we're in right now. So we have a media studio just next door. But yeah, I fell in love with just the idea of business and running businesses and helping people who started a little bit closer to where I started to actually kind of make a living for themselves. And so now that's what I'm doing now, and that through my media company and through my YouTube channel where I help others cleaners or people who kind of thinking about getting into the cleaning business. I'm kind of there to be a guide and be another one of those voices like I was able to turn to when I first started researching what can I do to make some money or how can I make a living. And so that's kind of where my focus is now. I've leave a lot of the day-to-day stuff to the operations manager. I know she hates me for that, but yeah, I kind of oversee more of how things are going on from a more upper level position now.
That's really great. You said in the beginning, when we first started to talk, you were talking about how one of the first things you really heard about in business is that you really have to focus on service, and how that's kind of been the driving force behind you. Yeah, it's kind of the thing that you understand the most. And I wanted to comment on it right away. I just kind of been sitting with it, as we've been just talking here. But I think isn't that the way it's supposed to be? Like if you worried about me and I worried about you, we'd all be taken care of. We would all be taken.
Yeah, I'm reminded of there's a weird fable. I don't even remember where I heard it, or a story of people on an island. Their arms are made of spoons, really long spoons, and there's two sets, and I guess on one island they all die because they're all trying to feed themselves with too long of arms as spoons, so they can't really eat. And on the other island, they all live prosperously because they feed each other with their long arms and made of spoons. So I think if the rest of the world thought like that, we'd be able to kind of feed each other and help each other out. But even in a more,
I've ever heard that story.
I don't know where I heard that weird story of people with spoon hands, but I heard it somewhere and it stuck with me. It stuck with me. But I think it's a mentality that more of us should adopt.
Yeah, I just saw a video of a teacher who filled a hallway full of balloons, and all the kids' names were on all the balloons, and they sent them out in the hall. Did you see that? Go find your own balloon, and nobody could find their own balloon.
Yeah, and then everyone pick up a balloon and you
give it to somebody who owns it. Yeah, and of course,
exactly.
In 8 seconds.
Exactly that.
And I think that is it's not unique to you and I. I think it's actually the driving force behind business owners, behind entrepreneurs. And I think that's what people don't see. They think of capitalism and money hungry.
Yeah, no, it's being of service to someone. How much value can you bring to the market? How much value can you bring to someone else? The people are all like, I hate this person. They make so much money. They don't have to make that much money. But I see that and I'm like, wow, they must have helped or given, happiness or whatever they provide to so many people. Like they should be rewarded in that way. Because that's the only way. Imagine you just giving your money to someone that doesn't do anything for you. You're not going to do that. You're going to give your money to someone who's providing you with something, who's giving you something that's either going to make you happy or help you advance in some other type of way. But that's what it starts with. Whatever you can do, whatever you're good at, if you have a talent or a skill, if you apply that to help someone, then there's your business. It doesn't matter what it is.
Agreed. I couldn't have said it better. I think that's it's certainly my motive. I mean, I'm an educator, so my wife's an educator, we just love to teach. I'll show you how to tie your shoes. I mean, it can be I like that, anything. I just enjoy it. It's just fun for me. And it gives me a lot more than it probably gives the people I'm working with. I get a lot of joy out of helping people. So I think that's the start of a great thing right there. Obviously 7 years later, right?
Yeah. It's been a great run. That's the mentality we went through, starting. We've applied that mentality to bringing on employees. It's how can we be of service to you? How can we make this opportunity good for you? And it's worked on all fronts. So it hasn't failed me yet. So be of service to someone else, and everything else kind of falls into place.
I love it. And I know that we're short on time here, but I do have to just bring up one question. Because with a name like Grim, how you didn't go Grim Cleaning and just go with G-Co, I don't know. Like, how did you pass up Grim Cleaning? Like,
I tried. So if you emailed my other email, you'd see that it's Grim Corporation. That was the original name of G-Co. That was it used to be Grim Corporation. I just didn't think it sounded very happy.
It does not sound happy. That's fair.
Just didn't sound very happy, or
that could be the tagline.
I shortened it to G-Co. So now
Grim Commercial Cleaning. So. We're happier than we sound. No,
right. I love it.
Too funny. So how do people get a hold of you? If somebody wants to work with you, if they want to work for you, is there a website, an email? What's the best way?
Yes, if you want to work for us, you can apply. You can find us on Facebook at G-Co Commercial Cleaning, or all the other social medias at G-Co Clean.
Is it G.co or just G-Co?
Straight across. If you're on social media or on the web, it's just GCOcommercialcleaning.com. If you want to reach out to us for a quote or anything, or if you're looking for work out here in the Seattle area, we've got plenty of work for people out here. Reach out to us, submit an application. We'd be happy to work, to bring you in, have an interview with you.
Perfect. By the way, I just require you to show up. I don't care if you fill out an application or not.
If you come, maybe not even fill out an application.
One. Just show
up.
Our
address is public. If you Google us, you can just show up at the front door.
That's right.
We got plenty of uniforms for you. Throw a uniform on you and get you trained up.
I'm just clarifying.
Absolutely. No. But thinking about getting into the cleaning industry, and you're looking for a guide or maybe someone else's experience to watch, I've been filming my experience and what I've been doing for the last 2.5 years on YouTube. So you can go and find me on YouTube at DJtheBoss. There's a few thousand of us now.
Boss.
Yep, that's the Boss family, my Boss family. So shout out to the Boss family. A lot of those guys are watching on YouTube right now on my YouTube channel.
Nice.
So yeah, join us, a bunch of like-minded entrepreneurs who are just trying to figure out our way in this industry. So. But yeah, you can reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of that stuff. I'm all over the social medias.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on. And I'll have all of your contact information in the show notes when this comes out as a podcast, and we'll link it right to this video. Right when this is over, I'll put all your links in there as well. So if anybody wants to reach out to you at all, they can.
Awesome. I appreciate you so much, Ralph. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate hearing your story and learning where you came from. And I mean, you're just proof once again. And every week I get to have this opportunity to just once again meet some incredible people who was homeless, living in a mud room. For those of you who don't know what a mud room is, by the way, that's between the front door and the door into the house. That little space is called a mud room.
Yeah.
It's where your shoes
where
go.
you take your shoes off and before you go into the actual house.
Exactly.
Like, people with money make some stuff.
They
man.
have a mud room.
They got a place to just take your shoes off before you go in the house. I was like, this is a whole room. I was like, I can sleep here. You know? I was like, matter of fact, can I sleep here? I can sleep here.
I just saw a video of an artist. This goodness, where were they? They were somewhere. I don't know, but they were having this whole renovation where the builders are taking up all the spots, and they found this little room in a mall that's unused, and they decided to live there, and they lived there for like 4 years.
What?
Yeah, in a mall. They lived in a mall,
in a random room in a mall.
4 years, because there was a room that was created accidentally, but it was unusable. And some bunch of artists found it. And, like they had water, power, television, like couch.
The ingenuity.
I mean,
you got to respect the ingenuity.
You really do. You really do. Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
And that's the show, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. That is the main way that we grow on these platforms. And these podcast platforms, we need the reviews. So go ahead and leave us a review. I don't care if it's good or if it's bad, or if you just want to tell us, you want to see something different, but go ahead and leave us a review. It really helps. I would really appreciate it. I love y'all. Thank y'all for listening. Keep that boss mentality. Mwah. Peace.